Welcome back. As always, be sure to leave a comment if you have anything to add to this video, any comments about this series, or the channel in general. Also, be sure to check out my other channel, YC Games, it's the one with the orange logo. And just a reminder that I am streaming every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so feel free to stop on by, say hi, and just talk Borderlands 4 with me mostly. And with all that out of the way, let's jump right into the video, because we are back to talking about Borderlands 4 predictions, and this is a big one. We've already talked about the different characters, we talked about the villains, we talked about the planet, but now we're talking about probably the biggest thing that Borderlands is known for, and that is the gun. So let's just jump right into that. Starting off, let's talk about some of the coolest guns in Borderlands history, at least, and that will be the Legendaries. Now, Borderlands 3 did not do Legendaries right, in my opinion. They were way too frequent, they felt basically useless, and most of them really didn't seem special. They just seemed to be powerful guns. Like back in Borderlands 2, almost every legendary was something special. Borderlands 1 too. There was something cool to those guns. Either they had a unique spread, they shot weird ways, they just did unique things. And that's what legendary should be in my eyes. Something unique, not just a good gun with high stats. That's not very legendary. Something legendary needs to be crazy, wacky, just fun to use, something to seek out for the fun factor, not because it's necessarily good. And also need to actually be something worth pursuing. Legendaries in 3 in particular, they were just doled out like candy. Like, I think just randomly in any play session, I would be guaranteed a legendary. Just it was a guarantee, not because of a mission, but because they dropped that frequently. Every time I played for more than an hour, I basically got at least one legendary, and it was crazy because they weren't even worth looking at that point anymore. They were just basically worthless. And I know that kind of like spun off into the Anointment system, but we'll get into that later. But as far as legendaries are concerned, make them not like so rare like you can go entire playthroughs without seeing one, but make it at least a spectacle. Make it something that you get excited to go and look for. Because by the end of playing Borderlands 3, I didn't even really care that much. I just looked at it like, oh, okay, whatever. And that shouldn't how it be. It should be every time it pops up, like your heart races, like, oh shit, what'd I get? Let's go. That's what legendary means to me, at least. Melee weapons were probably the coolest thing they introduced in Wonderlands, and it would be crazy if they didn't continue that into Borderlands 4. Not that they changed the game up too much, but it was just another little fun extra step that didn't like need to be super demanding of all, yeah, you got the exact melee weapon, whatever. No, it didn't feel like that. It was just another fun, basically like minor stat boost thing to your melee attack, which, yeah, it's a very gun-centric game, so melee weapons aren't like super, super important. But it was a fun little diversity of having like a heavy hammer or a swift little sword or a little dagger thing. And I think it would be crazy if they didn't continue that trend into Borderlands 4. Especially because most likely we will have some melee-focused character like we've had in the past. And if they really wanted to do those kind of things, they could do such cool builds with melee weapons matched with melee-centric skills. There is so many cool things that they could do with that mix and match that it's almost a guarantee that they will have melee weapons in 4. So I guess this isn't really so much a prediction, more of a they are absolutely insane if they don't have them. However, you gotta have a legendary Buzz Axe because that's like what the franchise is Buzz Axe is like one of the most iconic pieces of anything in the game. But also it would be cool to see like Reese's Stun Baton from the first Tales game, or like Troy's sword from Borderlands 3. That was such a cool sword. Why would we not get to use that? Like that has to come back in some way. Make it a legendary. Make it a whatever super pearlescent, uber highest tier, whatever. But seeing stuff like that coming back, like some cool stuff we saw in the past, but since they weren't guns, we couldn't really use them. It'd be a perfect time to bring them back in some way like that. So the Anointment system, like many things in Borderlands 3, is a good system on paper, but in execution, I think they kind of fell flat. So the Anointments are basically after you beat the game, you have a chance for guns to spawn with Anointments. And usually they just give you some minor bonus tied to some aspect. Like most of the time, it's like on action skill, you get like higher damage or more fire rate, whatever, stuff like that. Pretty simple stuff. And as a concept, I don't mind it. Just a little extra bonus for guns, and the guns are fine on their own without it. So it's just a little extra thing. I got no problem with it as long as it's a minor stat boost. The problem is when it becomes such big stat boosts that you need them to play the game at the end of the game. Like, if it's not anointed, you might as well not even touch it. I'm not a fan of that aspect of it. And my actual biggest complaint about it is when it's tied to a character specifically, or I guess more specifically, when it's tied to that particular actions of a character. Because now, not only does it, okay, you have a good gun, a good potential gun. Well, it's not for your character. Fuck me, I guess. Like, what, you're supposed to play through the whole game again as a different character? Give it to your buddy that has that character, I guess, is the idea behind it, maybe. But let's not even say that. Let's say it is for my character. But it's not for the skill I'm using. Alright, fuck me again, I guess. I'm not gonna switch trees and switch my skill just because of one gun is better if I do it. That's just that part, even on paper, is such a terrible idea. I don't know why they did that. But I actually like the idea in Borderlands 4 of some kind of anointment system, just a minor stat boost, but tie it more to actions, not to characters. Make it like while you're sliding, you do more gun damage. You don't slide all the time, but fuck it, it gives a little extra. Or 10 seconds after mantling, you get increased fire rate. Stupid shit like that. But like, make it just such minor percentages that, yeah, it helps you a little bit. Maybe you will mantle more. Maybe you will slide more. Stupid shit like that. But if you don't, it doesn't impair you so much that you just can't play endgame. So that would be the main changes that I would do in Borderlands 4. Keep the anointment system. It's not a bad idea. I like it in theory. Just the way they implemented it was just so bizarre. I don't know why they tied it to such odd things and restricted actual gun use. My other thing with it would be keep it to just purples. Because, like, don't put to legendaries, because legendaries should be special in their own right, and you don't need those extra little gimmicks. And anything below that feels like it doesn't really deserve a little extra stat boost. So I think that would be a good balancing thing of give those little minor stat things just to purple. Don't even make an anointment system of like, oh, there's like an X% chance of it spawning anointed with these extra things. That could be a good thing just across the board. Every purple gun comes with what is basically an anointment now. I think that would be a good way to balance it out. But this is definitely one that I'm not even convinced about it myself. I want to see in the comments, like, what do you guys think? Like, is that a good system? Is that a better system? Should they just scrap it all entirely? Because that is the other alternative, really. Just scrap it all entirely. It really didn't add much. It didn't do a whole lot to change it enough. It just made the game more annoying towards the end. And I don't know why they did that aspect of it. So let me know down in the comments, what would you guys think to change it? Or if they should just scrap it. Probably should just scrap it, really. I'm gonna lump these two things into one just because, especially when I'm thinking about like the lead up to Borderlands 3 and all their advertising, those were the two like coolest things they kind of showed off was like the alternate fire modes and the different TDR like throwable gun things. So I'm gonna lump them into one category because also really any one of thing that I can think of would be a cool alternate fire mode. I could also see them working it in to being a cool TDR throwable gimmick. So starting off, I think it'd be cool. Do a tripwire, like you shoot alternate fire mode, shoot 2 points on the ground, and then there's like a shock wave between them. So anything that runs in there takes shock damage, or make it like a corrosive beam or any elemental, or even not elemental. Make it almost like two turrets that are facing each other, so anything that walks in there gets shot. Stuff like that. I think that would be a cool idea. And it could be the same thing like with a TDR throwable. You throw it down, it like breaks off into 2 points, and then it makes a little tripwire. Same thing with like a deployable mini shield, almost like the Hyperion front shield, but alternate fire mode and more you throw it down and it becomes like a half cover, half wall thing. Very temporarily, I should add. Same thing with Tedior. Throw down makes a little bunker, almost like a little mini shield thing. Stuff like that. I think I just almost not underwhelmed because they had a lot of cool ideas, but there's just so many wacky and fun ways they could take these designs that I'm excited to see what they do in the future. Because 3 obviously was the introduction to a lot of these ideas, and I think with 4 just going above and beyond, they could do so many cool things. Like instead of micro missiles, also add like a little mini nuke. Uh, Maybe instead of like the whole like a sniper and a rocket launcher, do the same thing but make it like a thumper, like a grenade launcher, and have it use your grenade mod. Stuff like that, I think it'd just be cool. Basically, what I'm getting at is just going above and beyond what they already have. They have so many cool ideas already in place, but just taking it that one step further into 4, because that's kind of what sequels do, is they just take what was good in the past games and add on to it in hopefully better ways. And I think what they introduced in 3 with this alternate fire mode and all the TDR stuff, they could just go so much further into 4, and I'm excited to see what they come up with. So I wasn't sure if I should include this into a whole new gun type or if it should be included more in the alternate fire modes, but some kind of mortar type. Even if it's more like a grenade launcher thing, I think it would be cool to have some kind of like you have like it a laser on the ground where it's going to land, so it's easier to use. But like have something that is like a mortar. I guess it would be more an alternate fire type because what would it be? Just a different rocket launcher type. But I don't know. I think it's cool. Like just something that has more arc to it, so you don't have to aim directly at it. You got to give it a little bit of distance and aiming up and down and stuff like that to get that distance. That's just fun to me. It would make a new element to the game where you're not just trying to aim directly at whatever you're shooting, kind of thing. Plus, how vertical 3 was, I assume we're only gonna get more vertical in 4. That would be a cool concept, like rain hell down on above with mortars from up above, or try to arc it up to hit things up above would also be really cool. So I don't know if it should be its own gun type or an alternate fire mode, but I think some type of mortars or grenade launchers would be very fun. Also, even though it's not a new type, bring back revolvers as its own type. It's just crazy how different a Jacob's revolver is versus like a TDR machine pistol. The fact they share an ammo type is ridiculous. Because in reality, I don't need to purchase like pistol SDUs if I'm just using Jacobs, because that ammo can get you a long way. So it's just kind of crazy that they're still underneath the same typing when they're nowhere near each other. Another also cool idea: how have we not have a flamethrower yet, or really any elemental type thrower? I could easily see it being some kind of just spraying flames, spraying corrosion, spraying cryo, shit like that. Super cool. And even not necessarily a spray, maybe some kind of goo, like just whatever elemental type goo gun. Fucking Splatoon up in here. Why not? That's fun. That's crazy. That would be cool to see. That's just kind of weird that we haven't seen at least a flamethrower. Like that's just basic, like already exists in the real world. So why would they not go above and beyond and make some type of elemental thrower in the Borderlands universe? That's just weird to me. Also, why did they get rid of lasers? Lasers were so cool in the pre-sequel. I would love to see them return. Specifically, the one that's most people call is the Ghostbusters type laser. I never really cared about the railgun or the one that like shoots laser bolts, because that was like, yeah, I mean, railgun's basically a sniper. The bolt one could basically be an assault rifle. But the one that's a beam was so unique and so cool and just fun to use. It just felt like it melted enemies. It was just so fun. Why don't they bring that back? If I had a request for 4, please bring back those type of lasers. They're just fun. I only got a couple more things to discuss here. They didn't really fit with any other topic. So starting off with gun crafting, I am not a fan of. That's not really so much anything I've heard lately, but I remember explicitly back when Borderlands 3 was first being announced that was a big rumor that we're going to get gun crafting. And going back and watching those old videos, I talked about it, and I have the same stance now as I did then, basically. I'm not a fan of it. Now, I had one buddy that I talked to a lot, especially about it back then, and he was all for it just because he hated getting, like, a shotgun with, like, a sight and scope on top of it in Borderlands 2. And I agree. That is annoying, but that's kind of the charm to me about Borderlands, is you never know what you're going to get. There's all these different components, and however they snap together, it's just kind of the fun of the game, is whatever you're going to find. So I like that they haven't introduced a gun crafting system yet. Even the grinder, I think, was a neat idea that I wouldn't mind seeing that come back in some way. But anything beyond that, I think, wouldn't be fun. Like, if I could purposely pick specifically all the attachments I want, like what side do I want, what, like, underbarrel, what type of magazine, or what, all that stuff, save that shit for Call of Duty, okay? For Borderlands, whatever I get, I get. And the fun of the game is going out and trying to get what you want, but just by rolling the dice. If I gotta pick specifically what attachments I want and stuff, well, then what's the point of grinding at that point? What's the point of going out and killing the endgame bosses? What's the point of fighting any kind of monster if I can just specifically, okay, I want this gun? Well, and that's it. That's it. That the whole point of the end game, for most people at least, is going out and getting specific guns. So adding a kind of gun crafting element to it would really taint that experience, I think. So I'm glad they haven't included it, and I hope they continue not to. Another thing, just make the animations more fun. Like switching weapons, just they do a little pistol flip. That's cool. Like, cock the shotgun. But I think it'd be cool if they did more with it. Make it fast, obviously, because if you're in a gunfight and you're flipping through sporadically, like maybe if they could have some kind of sensor to see, like, okay, if he's in like heavy combat, don't do the animation. But if you're just sitting there walking from one objective to another, and you switch guns, and your guy does a whole like revolver ocelot thing, that'd be cool to see. Maybe not that extensive, but just add some extra pistol flips. Add like some cool like little like rotating on your finger. Just random little, I don't know, extra animations. Just make the gunplay seem more fun. Again, not necessarily like in combat, because then it'd be annoying. Like, why the fuck you flip it? He was right in front of me. I gotta shoot him, and now I'm dead. Yeah, maybe not in combat, but outside of combat, you just walk from objective to objective. You got a little bit of downtime. Why not do some extra flips? Cock your shotgun a few times. Throw it up in the air, catch it. Little shit like that, I think would be cool to see. Well, that about does it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please leave it down in the comments if you have any comments about this, any ideas of your own, anything you think I agree with me, disagree with me, all that jazz, leave it down in the comments. I just make these videos to have those kind of discussions down in the comments. So, yeah, if you have any cool ideas, let me know down there. Also, just a little bit of a channel update. I am not going to be doing the daily playthrough videos anymore. Probably going to be continuing that on stream, because every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am still planning on streaming. So yeah, if you want a little preview into these videos, usually just talk about Borderlands 4, like kind of talk about what I'm going to talk about in these videos anyway. So if you have any cool ideas you want to discuss with me there, that'd be a good way to do it more directly, because, it's live, obviously. So yeah, feel free to come on by, say hi, join the discussion, all that jazz. Next time we will be talking about experimental game mechanics, and that's going to be a fun one, because they added a lot into 3. Between 2 and 3, or I guess rather pre-sequel and 3, they added quite a bit. So I got some cool ideas about what they can do beyond that. So I'm excited to talk about that. So yeah, if you have any cool ideas for that, leave it down in the comments, and I'll be sure to include it in that video. But as always, see you next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.